Hey, did you know Long's Products is a family-owned janitorial supply with mops, brooms, trash bags, and they even have food service disposables, carry-out plates, and to-goes? Check us out.
Good morning, everyone. And I want to welcome you guys to a special edition of the Let's Talk show here on UrbanCast this morning. I'm your host, and today, as we continue to follow the devastating impacts of Hurricane Melissa across the Caribbean, especially in Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and now getting ready to enter into Jamaica. We're going to be joined this morning by a man whose leadership became hope during one of our nation's darkest moments. Lieutenant General Russel Honore, retired U.S. Army, took command of the recovery operations in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina, bringing calm, order, and coordination when chaos seemed to be the rule of the day. It's an honor to have you with us today, General. But before we begin, I also want to take this moment to acknowledge that today is National First Responders Day across the country. And right now, the Caribbean men and women are risking their lives to help others. And we want to say thank you to those guys for their service and their sacrifice. Good morning, General.
Good morning, Jack.
I tell you, I definitely want to say thank you again, General, for agreeing to come out and speak to some of the folk here in Central Louisiana, because we actually had a family that had over 90 people that were connected to our area that was in Jamaica for a destination wedding. And a lot of the family members are really anxious about what potentially is about to happen. And so we definitely thought about you to see if we could reach out to you and help you shed a little light on the situation to us. General, you led one of the most complex disaster responses that was in American history. It looks like Katrina actually set the new stage of how things happen. What's happening right now in Jamaica and across the Caribbean? What parallels do you see to what you face down in New Orleans?
Well, I think what the people in the Caribbean face is a very strong storm, Category 5 at landfall, going in a very unfriendly way across Jamaica, with the potential Category 5 at landfall. That winds gust up to 170 miles an hour, with the potential to generate tornadoes in the outer bands, which are even more deadlier than a hurricane. Has been predicted, and I'm sure people are watching the weather services, the Weather Channel and Fox Weather. Both of them are constantly reporting, and all the major national networks are reporting hourly on the situation. And the situation is bad, as predicted. It will get worse in the coming hours, and we'll go through the next 12 hours or so as this thing transits at a very slow rate, 12 miles an hour comparison. Katrina came through Louisiana moving at 12 miles an hour. This storm is moving at 5. So it's a slow moving storm as it crossed Jamaica. And for our friends that are in Montego Bay, they're predicting up to 100-mile-an-hour wind as it passed through that area. They're on the kind of the left side of the eye, which is a friendlier side of it, but they will see major infrastructure, probably the lights going out in most of that area. And as the storm passed, they'll get surge water as the storm moved off the coast. So people along the coast in Montego Bay, they won't get the surge water that's predicted on the south end of the island. But as the storm moves away from Jamaica, they will get the backside as the storm turns and push water into Montego Bay. I'm sure they're listening to the resorts or hotel where they're staying. Many people will move to shelters, or they might be sheltering in place at hotels. If they're still communicating with them, don't take refuge by any windows. Get into the inner rooms of that hotel and listen to the hotel staff, but stay away from windows, as we saw in the Hyatt Hotel in New Orleans when the center of the storm hit. Those windows pop. So don't take solace by standing by windows in a hotel. That could be a very dangerous place because they break during the height of the storm. And the eye of the storm didn't even go over New Orleans. So I'm doing some comparisons. Every storm's different, but I'm trying to give people some perspective because Katrina made landfall. The government report as a category 3. It's a category 5 making landfall, going across Jamaica in a most unfriendly way. And you can assume the airport will still be closed for a few days once this storm leave out of Montego Bay. So communications is going to get harder, and it's going to get harder to communicate with people as the grid go down. So hopefully people got their phones well charged and they're saving them and not just keeping them on. So cut your phones off and save your batteries for those that are in Montego. If you're talking to them, and use text, don't use voice. Text take a lot less data and use a lot less, and don't be screaming on your phone. Your phone now, if you're in Montego Bay, is an emergency communication system, not a social media chat room. Take your phone to text, take off video, and save your battery, and only use the text to keep your family informed that you're okay. So if they can get that message to the people, and the solar system will be degraded where text will get through, where voice and video won't. But those people in Montego Bay that you're still communicating with need to move to text and save their battery and keep it charged as long as they can. Jack.
Okay, that's a very good point. So if they're on their phones right now, they want to definitely make sure that those phones are fully charged at this point. And then, and if they are communicating, once those lights go out, is to make sure that they turn off all of those background applications that might be on that phone, because that's going to only run the battery down at a much quicker pace. So that's the recommendation coming from you there. General, communication, that was going, you went right into where I was on that part on communication. Outside of that, what do you they're in a foreign country, but a lot of Americans travel down to Jamaica. So what's the next thing that folks should be paying attention to at this point in time? I heard you say listening to the resort staff and that kind of thing, but are there any national emergency kind of like lines of communication there in Jamaica that one probably should be paying attention to?
Well, there are apps that people can load that they probably should have done before they left that can get you satellite communications. It's just a basic app. You can Google it and apply for it. So if somebody in the group has the capacity to download that app while you still can, that would be good. So somebody in the group can communicate back home or communicate with the State Department. Because when the grid go down, most likely the cell towers are going to go down. But there are apps available that you can use to download and get a satellite link by your phone through satellite to be able to communicate. So if somebody in the group can do that, they can communicate for the group. through satellite by downloading the satellite app that you can download on your phone. So it's always good when you go overseas to use that technique, to have that app on your phone in case you lose communication by the cellular system, which in this case is going to be very challenged for those cell towers to stay up in those high winds coming across those mountains. But we'll hope for the best, but that is a technique to use. People need to know the UN has organized a relief effort prepared to go in. I would imagine they're going to focus on Kingston, but there's an airport in Montenegro that will probably be one of the airheads, along with the State Department normally organize a relief effort to go in. CARICOM, that's the Association of Caribbean Nations, they're preparing assets to go in, as well as the OES, Organization of Latin American States, they are preparing assets to go in. But all that's going to take time. Right now, you got to preserve your water. Make sure you've drawn water in your hotel room and any bottles you have to make sure they've got drinking water. The hotel staff, I'm sure, is doing the best they can to have drinking water, but that will be one of the key elements, I'm sure, and as well as food that they have been able to accumulate over the next, because it's going to take a few days to get people out of there just to get the airports open again. So people need to be prepared for 3 to 5 days before they get out of there.
Wow. And from that preparedness standpoint, General, from that preparedness standpoint, you know, a lot of people are in their hotel rooms right now with all of their luggage and all of that kind of good stuff. What would you say about, you know, being able to move in a very quick manner right now? For example, you know, something, you know, disastrous happened right there on the property that they're at, and they need to move. What is it that they need to have in their possession right at this moment to be able to get the hell out of Dodge?
Keep that passport on your person.
Right.
Keep that passport on your person. Keep your phone on your person. Keep your medicine on your person. So get some kind of little bag where you got the essentials. So when it's time to leave, you may not have your suitcase, but you can have your personal identification, your phone, and your documents you need to depart with. That is very critical. And if there's any children, make sure they're identified with some type of a tag on them in case the worst case scenario hit, because sometimes tornadoes can be spun off and will take down even parts of a hotel or infrastructure that you're in. So some kind of identification with any children that might be there. I don't know if children went, but to have something to identify who they are is very important attached to them.
You know, General, there. You know, I know one of the things we recommended was for folks to get out there and make sure they register through that Smart Traveler Enrollment Program sponsored by, you know, the Department of State. What's your thoughts? What's your thoughts about that? If they haven't, they should get that done ASAP.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That should happen right now.
Right
if it
now.
hadn't happened already. Yeah, while the economy is still up. Because the last I checked, we hadn't had landfall, but it's getting pretty close. The coastal area is receiving hurricane force winds on the south side of Jamaica as you go up the Black River. They're already receiving hurricane force winds along the coast. So if you hadn't done it, now is the time to do it. I would assume the U.S. Embassy or consulate is in Kingston, is what I assume.
Yeah, that's where.
So now is the time to do it if you hadn't done it.
Right. And what role will the U.S. government play in, you know, because, you know, from what we're hearing here is that we're hearing that this is, you know, going to be a devastating storm that's going to really is going right through the middle almost through the middle of the island of Jamaica. And, you know, it's a lot of country terrain back there, a lot of mountainous terrain. You know, lots of foliage up there. And so I would imagine you're going to begin to see all kinds of landslides and all kind of stuff that's getting ready to happen over there, General.
Yeah. Our lead agency for U.S. support in foreign country is the State Department, which is normally led by USAID, which has been somewhat reduced in its capacity, but they still have the capacity to get humanitarian support in because they use contractors a lot of time and they've got capacity. But the rough road is going, how do you get it there? And how do you distribute it to people that are in the mountains in Jamaica? Not necessarily speaking of our citizens from Louisiana, but that will be the first obligation to get to people who are isolated, because a lot of people live in the mountains there in Jamaica. And those along the coast that have been battered by the surge water that's coming in, that could put up to, particularly where the surge come in Mississippi, we had a 28-foot surge go into Biloxi, Mississippi from the eye of Katrina. And we could expect, they had said 14-foot surge, and elevation in at landfall is about 4 feet, about 3 feet in Kingston. That's the elevation of the airport. So you can expect that surge water to cover much of the infrastructure along the coast as the storm approached Jamaica from the south side, going north, up just east of Montego Bay. So the eye of the storm will bring a lot of surge water up into Jamaica, up the Black River, as well as rainwater, which they're expecting up to 40 inches. So you got rain in the mountains and in Montego today, and you got surge water coming up along the coast from Kingston all the way across Jamaica. Surge water will be pushing up along the coastline. And as the water come out of the mountains, it's going to make its way toward the Caribbean Sea, which is going to provide problems for people who living in the flatlands, because they could be flooded out from the enormity of the rain and the surge water as you get closer to the coast. In the area of Montego Bay, right now, they're just facing rainwater. Tomorrow, when the storm passes them, they'll be challenged by surge water, which should not be as severe as it is on the south side of the island.
So down there in that Negril area, they're going to see a lot of that surge. You know, I guess as the storm is pushing in, it'll be pushing water out, but as it comes on shore, it'll going to start pushing it just the opposite way.
Exactly. It'll come back around. So the eye of the storm, as it passes, will push the water back toward Montego Bay.
Wow.
Surge water.
All right. General, you know, one of the things that we have been seeing is these strong storms that have been impacting not only our coastal communities and things of that nature, but we're also seeing the tornadoes throughout the Midwest and along the East Coast. Do you believe the disaster response strategies in our country are evolving fast enough to keep us up to date with what's actually happening in the environment right now?
I think so. We're overmatched by Mother Nature right now. The Caribbean Sea was at 86 degrees. I think Katrina hit at 85 degrees. The warming sea levels do perpetuate the storms that come in stronger. As we saw last year in Florida, it's Hurricane Helene and Milton. They elevated real quick in the warm waters off the Gulf. And that is the case in the Caribbean Sea, is deep water. So you got deep, hot water, and it perpetuates the storm to come in inland stronger at very high category 5, and pushing hurricane force winds all the way into Haiti and into Dominican Republic. So it's a very big storm. And it's not just Jamaica, it's having impact on the peninsula of Haiti and into the mountains of Dominican Republic. So while Jamaica will take the eye of it, that storm will continue through Cuba. Santiago de Cuba will also meet the eye of the storm, but with any luck, it will be deteriorated some to a category 2 by the time it hit Santiago de Cuba.
You know, as someone who have spent decades in your professional career, General, what gives you hope when you see communities face disasters like this?
Well, from Hurricane Gibson, the people of Jamaica, the older people learn a lot of lessons, and that's the people that's in charge there now. The Prime Minister and others remember Hurricane Gibson in '88 and the devastating impact it had. And they've done a good job of communicating with the people to be prepared, to move to shelters, to have food and water available. So they've done a good job of preparing the people. The challenge is this storm will wreck most of the infrastructure that it crosses, and will challenge heavily constructed buildings like the big hotels. All of that will be challenged. And I would imagine a large percentage of the roofs in Jamaica where this storm passed will be lost because they're built in the Caribbean fashion, and it's a relatively poor country. So the infrastructure is built to deal with the climate and the rain, a lot of tin roofs. Much of that will be lost during this hurricane. Now, it's a protectorate of the United Kingdom. In the past, when those have happened, the United Kingdom has sent a ship in to assist in 2017. I have not seen any reports that they have a ship on the way, but we got options if the State Department is so direct and requests the Department of War have a lot of ships in the Caribbean now, and they could be redirected to go in and save lives. But that's a political decision. But before that happened, the government of Jamaica must request U.S. assistance. We cannot send a military equipment in until it's requested by the Jamaica government. And that has to go from the Prime Minister to the embassy, U.S. Embassy in Jamaica, and sent to the State Department. So if that request hadn't gone in, I hope somebody in Jamaica is listening and they send that request for assistance for search and rescue, because the U.S. military does have the capacity in the theater of operations in the Caribbean to be able to respond. But that has to go through a formal request. That's the normal procedure when I was in the Pentagon.
Right. Yes, sir. General, before we get ready to close this out, do you have any other outgoing words that you'd like to say?
Well, let's pray for the best that can come out of this, that people remain alive. People are very resilient. Take care of one another. Nobody should be alone. If somebody's in a room by themselves, they need to get a battle buddy, because 2 heads is better than 1.
Yes, sir.
If you got any elderly, make sure you're paying significant attention to them. But don't have anybody alone in the room. People need to double up, triple up, and be together and conserve their resources, conserve their phones so they can communicate, and take care of one another, and listen to the house staff at the hotels. If you're still in a hotel, if you hadn't moved to a shelter, and just cooperate, help the least among you, because I can guarantee you there'll be people among you that are not handling this well, the stress of this and try to keep them calm.
Yes, sir. General, we can't thank you enough for your time this morning, your insight, your continued leadership in reminding us that preparation saves lives and that compassion guides real recovery. To our followers watching, thank you for tuning in this morning, staying informed. Remember, if you have loved ones stranded in the Caribbean, particularly in Jamaica, encourage them to make sure that they go register through STEP, that's step.state.gov, so they can receive assistance from the U.S. government. And before we close, we want to extend a big thank you to our sponsors who make important conversations like this possible: Sadler's Towing, Long's Products, Legendary Kung Fu and Tai Chi, United Wrestling Entertainment, and the Nader International Market. Stay safe out there, stay engaged, and as always.
And Jack, one last statement, Jack. I'll be on CNN this afternoon on KC Hunt show,
Yes, sir.
talking about the response, preparation and response. CNN this afternoon, KC Hunt. You can look at what time she comes on. I think it's around 3:00 Central time. So I got an interview scheduled there this afternoon.
Oh, okay. And again, General, we're not CNN, but you took a text message from UrbanCast this morning, and we truly appreciate that. And I'm pretty sure that the people here in Alexandria and those families and everything appreciate you taking that time to listen to little old UrbanCast call you and say, hey, let us know what's going on down there.
I know what I'm seeing, and I'm watching a lot of television and doing a lot of reading.
Yes, sir.
And that's all. I'm not there on the ground. So,
Yeah.
but the people that are forward deployed, they're providing good information as long as the comms stay up. So God bless them, and we can pray. That's what we can do right now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Pray for the best.
Yes, sir. Again, we truly appreciate you over here at UrbanCast. If you could just hang on in there, General, I'm gonna go ahead and end this stream, and I'll be right back to you in a few seconds.
Hey, did you know Long's Products is a family-owned janitorial supply with mops, brooms, trash bags, and they even have food service disposables, carry-out plates, and to-goes? Check us out.